Okay, so today we're going to be working with charcoal, and there's a couple different kinds of charcoal that you need to know about. You have 3 different kinds right now, so you can look and see at the same time as I'm showing you the different kinds of charcoal. So there is compressed charcoal, and that will be your round piece of charcoal that looks fairly uniform. There are different hardnesses of charcoal. Some of you have a full piece, but some of you have just a small piece. And if you have one of the ends, you might see it actually written in, impressed into the charcoal what hardness it is. So there's hard, medium, and soft. So you won't have all of the different hardnesses, but you will have at least one kind of hardness. So if you want, at the back of your sketchbook, you can actually test them out. So open to a page at the back of your sketchbook, and you can just see kind of the differences between them, and you can label them. So, please. Thank you. So that's the hard compressed charcoal. Just like with pencils hardnesses, the harder the charcoal, the lighter it will actually show up. The softer the charcoal, the darker it will show up. So just like when you have a B pencil, B stands for blackness or boldness, that lead is actually softer than an H pencil, which has harder lead and therefore will create a lighter effect. So it's kind of the same thing with charcoal. You also have willow charcoal. Okay, willow charcoal actually comes from a tree, and you might see, like on this piece, it actually looks like a branch. And that's exactly what they've done, is they've taken a piece of wood from a tree and they have incinerated it, put it in a very high temperature to turn it into a piece of charcoal. So this is willow charcoal. It's a much softer effect than compressed charcoal. And the compressed charcoal is just made with the kind of charcoal that willow charcoal is made out of, but they have compressed it into a mold, usually, and it ends up being a lot more dark because of the amount of particles that are compressed together in that mold. So you have compressed and you have willow charcoal, and then you also have a charcoal pencil. So the charcoal pencil essentially just has a piece of compressed charcoal through the pencil, and it's surrounded by a piece of wood, and that just makes it nicer for doing details. It's a little less messy. If the tip of your charcoal is running out, the little string will pull back a piece of the paper at the top and reveal more of the charcoal. So don't do that until it's really running out, because it will start to break if you've kind of taken away too much of that paper. So you can test that out as well, your charcoal pencil. Okay, so those are the different kinds of charcoal. And I'll show you now how you can actually apply different kinds of charcoal when drawing things. It is a nice idea to have a paper towel next to you. Could you help me get a paper towel, please? For blending, and just because your fingers are going to start to get messy. You can start a charcoal drawing with a pencil, but I'm going to encourage you to try to avoid using pencil when using charcoal. I know it can be kind of daunting because charcoal is harder to erase than pencil, but try to just let go of the outcome a little bit and just try to go straight for the charcoal. So I'd recommend when you're starting a drawing to actually just start with the charcoal pencil, because it's just a little bit easier to work with when you're starting to put some lines. So I'll do a very rough kind of hand here for you, so you can see some of the ways that you can start to use it. And don't be afraid to make sketchy lines, because we can go back and we can erase the lines. The kneaded eraser does a good job with the charcoal, but it does leave a little bit behind. So So obviously take a little bit more time with yours, doing this a little bit quicker for your benefit. You don't have to sit here and watch me draw all day. I'm just putting in roughly some of the areas here. I'm going to go back and add shading with a different piece of charcoal. So once you've got some lines sketched out, you can go and choose a different piece of charcoal. I generally recommend you go from light to dark. So starting with the willow charcoal, because it is a little bit lighter, will make it a little bit easier for you. And it's going to start by going on quite dark, but we're going to go in and we're going to blend a little bit with a paper towel and also with, you can use your blending stick. I would caution a little bit around using the blending stick though with charcoal because it's a little bit harder to go in and clean off your blending stick. Just a tip on cleaning blending sticks, if you have some sandpaper at home, that's the easiest way to do that, is to use a little bit of sandpaper. So you can rub off all of the graphite and the charcoal. So we're just building up the shading. You can use it like cross hatching a little bit. And then I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna use my paper towel first. So when you're using the paper towel, you can just actually roll it around your finger and kind of turn it into like a blending top. And then you can go in and blend some of the areas. And as your paper towel starts to get charcoal on it, it becomes like a drawing media itself. So you can actually do that to add softer areas of charcoal in where you haven't even added charcoal to your drawing. So keep that in mind. I don't want to blend everything. I do want to leave a little bit of white or highlight. So I'm just going in and doing some of the areas. And I can always go back with my kneaded eraser later if I missed some areas or I wanted to keep some areas white, but I blended too much. Again, the blending stomp is good for going in and blending more detailed areas. So you have that nice tip that's allowing you to go in, do a little bit more. Don't be afraid to leave some of the texture of the charcoal as well. You don't need to blend everything out. What's so nice about charcoal is the texture. So don't go in and take away all of that. So I'm going to go in with my compressed charcoal here and just add back in some of darker areas. I blended quite a bit of the willow. So I want it to look like a charcoal drawing. I'm going to make sure I leave some charcoal, maybe some of the compressed charcoal behind. And to go back in and add areas of highlight or get like some nail details in, you can use your kneaded eraser and you can create a small point with it to go back in spots where you maybe added too much. Put back in some highlights. You can also blend with a kneaded eraser. So if you use a larger area, it can actually blend almost like a blending stop. Try that with your kneaded eraser as well. And you can just keep going and adding more and more details. You can go back in with the charcoal pencil. It's a nice way to go in and do finishing touches because it has that nice tip, which can get you a little bit more detail than the other pieces of charcoal. Don't fully outline everything. You want it to look natural, so you don't need to fully outline everything. But that's how to do a basic hand with charcoal.